From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Well, if you're a foodie or a food aficionado, a sign like this might be exciting news, but it's actually a hoax.
Julian Assange strikes a deal. I'm Jared Hill with what we know about the agreement that'll let the WikiLeaks founder walk free after releasing government secrets.
I'll tell you about a Butte child at risk of type 1 diabetes and this new treatment that could help her.
Alrighty, we are coming up on 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Jay McDonald and Matt Elwell with you on this bright day. And well, I say bright because the sun's been up for about half an hour
Yeah,
now.
working on it here very shortly. Nice morning. The temperatures at the top of the hour dropping down, especially in Belgrade. We're down into the mid-40s this morning. It's not a bad morning, just a little chill in the air as we're starting things off. 44 in Butte, 46 in Livingston, 36 in West Yellowstone. You fill in the blanks with our forecast. Our temperatures are going to warm up quickly back into the low to mid 80s for most of us. A nice afternoon, just a lot of sunshine if you're spending time outdoors. You're going to want some sunscreen, so if you're out rowing the rivers here in southwest Montana, it's going to be a beautiful day for some fishing. Just it's going to feel a little hot, so drink plenty of water and wear that sunscreen. You'll do all right. We do have changes on the way. I'm going to talk more about what we should expect later in the week in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Well, a sign announcing a popular national grocery store chain on an empty plot of land in Uptown Butte really got people in town talking last week. Our Megan Thompson finds out if it's really true.
Well, if you're a foodie or a food aficionado, a sign like this might be exciting news, but it's actually a hoax.
I don't know if it's a joke or not, but I do know that Trader Joe's has never contacted me to build up here, so I suspect it's a joke.
Denise Kelly owns a plot of land on East Park Street, located just a few blocks from the heart of Uptown Butte. She wasn't even sure the sign was on her property until she drove by.
I didn't actually know it was on my property till I saw it on social media, but it really doesn't bother me. It's probably harmless. I thought some of the comments were hysterical.
What were some of the comments?
Oh, just how much everybody wants it to be Trader Joe's and don't be stupid, and it's funny. It's got the town talking, yeah. It's an uproar.
A spokesperson for Trader Joe's said in an email that a new location has not been confirmed for Butte.
They're great stores, and I don't think that they would announce with a paper sign. Just gonna throw that out there.
Currently, there are two commercial developments taking shape in Butte, one at the mall and the other farther south on Harrison Avenue. At least one location is planning to build a grocery store, though the retailer has not yet been named. In Butte, Megan Thompson, MTN News.
Founder Julian Assange has agreed to plead guilty to violating the Espionage Act and then will walk free. Assange revealed state secrets about America's wars on his website, WikiLeaks. U.S. prosecutors have been trying to get him back on American soil to face charges for years. But as Jared Hill explains, the plea deal he's agreed to sign will take place on a remote island in the western Pacific Ocean.
Video from WikiLeaks appears to show founder Julian Assange's journey from the UK to the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory about 3,000 miles north of his home in Australia. Assange is expected to plead guilty tomorrow to one count of espionage for his role in one of the biggest leaks of classified information in recent U.S. history. U.S. prosecutors are giving him credit for serving a little more than 5 years behind bars in London. He would have faced life in prison if convicted of 18 counts, most under the Espionage Act, for conspiring with former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to steal classified documents relating to the Iraq and Afghanistan wars in 2010.
I think one takeaway here is that the U.S. government takes this situation seriously and that they tried very hard for years to extradite him to the U.S.
Assange supporters are cheering news of the plea deal.
This is the first time in the 100-year history of the Espionage Act that a journalist or someone committing journalism, someone engaging in journalistic act, has been prosecuted under the Espionage Act for essentially receiving information and communicating information.
Assange's legal trouble started in 2012 when he fled to the Ecuadorian embassy in London to escape extradition to Sweden, accused of rape and sexual assault. The charges were dropped, but he stayed at the embassy for 7 years. During that time, WikiLeaks released thousands of emails stolen from the Democratic National Committee. In 2019, Ecuador expelled Assange from the embassy, and the UK sentenced him to 50 weeks in jail for breaching bail conditions related to the rape inquiry. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
And after tomorrow's plea agreement, Assange is expected to return home to Australia. And earlier this year, more than a dozen athletes and former athletes sued the NCAA for their policy allowing transgender athletes to participate in certain sports. And on the flip side, hundreds of other athletes are petitioning the association to add more protections for transgender athletes. Scripps National News correspondent Amber Strong explores how the subject is at the center of debate for college athletes and beyond.
It's a battle taking place in the stands,
trans women are women,
and at the local state house. The debate over transgender athletes in sports. Those in favor point to decades of advocacy for protecting equal rights. Those opposed say it gives trans women athletes in particular a physical advantage and takes away from the celebration of feminism. According to data from the Movement Advancement Project, a progressive think tank, at least 20 states currently ban transgender students from participating in sports consistent with their gender identity. While legal lines are being drawn at the local level, there's also a focus on college sports. In April, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletes, made up of mostly smaller schools across the country, voted to largely ban trans women from competing in women's sports. Now all eyes are on the NCAA, as hundreds of civil rights groups and elite athletes have called for the group to provide extra protections for transgender athletes. Three-time NCAA champion basketball coach Dawn Staley also joining the discussion, telling reporters, quote, "If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play." On the flip side, men's Olympic gold medalist and Fox News contributor Caitlyn Jenner, who came out as transgender in 2015, has been speaking out against trans women athletes in women's sports for years.
Michael Jordan in his prime all of a sudden decides, I'm trans. 1 year on hormone replacement therapy, and he can play in the WNBA. How do you think that would work out?
The division goes beyond athletes, but inside party affiliations too. A 2024 Siena College poll of New York voters shows 66% support requiring high school athletes to only compete with others of the same sex they were assigned at birth. That includes 52% of Democrats. Still, the Biden administration signaling their support of transgender youth.
LGBTQI+ kids are resilient. They are fierce, they fight back, they're not going anywhere, and we have their back.
In 2024, the Education Department announced a change to Title IX, the legislation that aimed to protect students at federally funded schools from sex-based discrimination, expanding language to include gender identity. Some conservatives calling it the silent campaign issue to watch, one former President Donald Trump will likely seize.
He would not have probably done that in 2016. It wasn't a real abiding concern during the first Trump presidency for his first 4 years. Things have changed radically now.
Trump recently saying he'd reverse Biden administration changes to Title IX on his first day in office. Amber Strong, Scripps News, Washington.
6:08 now. Back in some Treasure State headlines. Friday was a key deadline for advocates who want to get a ballot measure before Montana voters this year. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian explains what will determine which measures, including one to add abortion rights to the state constitution, will move forward.
Groups trying to qualify ballot measures for the November election had until Friday to turn in thousands of petition signatures to county election offices across Montana. Now it's up to those county officials to go through those signatures and determine which ones meet the requirements.
There's a lot of signatures to look at this year, a lot of different ballot initiatives. So yeah, it's going to be, our summer's not going to be quiet.
To get a regular voter initiative on the ballot, it takes at least 30,000 signatures from registered voters across Montana, plus a minimum threshold in a number of state legislative districts. A constitutional amendment needs twice that. The supporters of Constitutional Initiative 128, which would add the right to an abortion to the Montana Constitution, said on Friday that they had collected 117,000 signatures over 2 months, almost double the minimum they needed. Earlier this month, the group behind CI 126 and 127, 2 amendments to change how Montana conducts elections, said they turned in more than 200,000 signatures between the 2 measures. 4 other proposed initiatives were approved to gather signatures this year. Election officials in several of Montana's largest counties said they received much lower numbers of petitions for those measures. Counties now have 4 weeks to go through the petitions and verify which signatures are valid.
We make sure that the individual is registered to vote in Lewis and Clark County. We make sure that their address is the same. We make sure the signature matches. Now, if the signature doesn't match, then we reject it.
By July 19th, all the counties must forward the petitions and certified signatures to the Montana Secretary of State's office, which will make the final calculation on which measures cleared the requirements. Connor Fitzpatrick with Lewis and Clark County says they'll have 2 full-time employees and 2 temps working on verification over the coming weeks.
Keep an eye on that, and we might have to end up bringing in a few more people to help push this across the finish line as we get closer to the July 19th deadline.
The Secretary of State's office doesn't yet have a hard deadline for when they expect to certify which ballot measures have qualified and which ones haven't. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
And of course, we'll bring you the latest as we learn more on that. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Now, an 8-year-old girl in Butte at risk for type 1 diabetes became the first in the state to receive a new treatment. MTN's John Amey found out how the procedure went.
Childhood diabetes can be a serious condition that can greatly disrupt the life of a child. And a Butte girl recently became one of the first in the state to receive a new kind of treatment that can delay the onset of diabetes and, more importantly, allow her to be a child.
This is a nice healthy heart. Does that sound good? Should we take a listen to back too?
Her blood sugars have gone down into normal ranges. She is no longer angry all the time. She's got her energy back up, running and playing like a normal 8-year-old.
Type 1 diabetes runs in her family, making her at risk. Her blood sugar levels elevated to pre-diabetes, and symptoms included increased thirst, hunger, which made her angry.
It is heartbreaking watching because there's nothing I could do to help her in those situations.
Allison's pediatrician at St. James Healthcare in Butte got her on a new treatment program at St. Vincent's Regional Hospital in Billings called Tzield.
I think we were able to overall get Allison exactly what she needed in terms of lab monitoring, getting her to the right specialist, and ultimately getting her that treatment in time to make a difference for her.
In Billings, Allison underwent the 14-day treatment, and positive results were almost immediate.
She did wonderful. I noticed on day 5 that things were changing for the better. Mom reports her energy's back. She's been feeling well, not thirsty.
Though not a cure, the treatment shows promise in delaying type 1 diabetes in children.
You know, it actually gives her another couple years at least, hopefully, to be a kid. And her life is much more enjoyable than it was 2 months ago.
In Butte, John Amey, MTN News.
Well, and just in time for the summer to start enjoying the sun, too.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure she's excited about that. Now, before we head into a break, I'm going to take us over, well, to Sin City, Las Vegas. Actually, a little north of Las Vegas. This was kind of a buzz on social media last week. A strange monolith just randomly appeared. I mean, people have no idea, Matt, how this structure got to where it is.
How big was this?
Like 77 inches,
Wow,
I think. And it's,
okay.
you know, reflective material. It's kind of in a triangle shape, and it's
Yeah.
just cemented in there with concrete. Again, no idea how it got there, who placed it up, but officials did end up taking it down because, well, I mean, tourists, locals, people
Yep.
were just flocking to get photos of it, to
Try
see
to
it for
figure out
themselves.
what, yeah.
But it's way off trail. And well, desert's kind of a dangerous
that's usually
place.
a bad idea, right?
Yeah, not the best idea. So they did take it to an undisclosed location, so we still don't know really where the monolith is as
Area
of now.
54, probably.
I mean, you said it, not me. I'm just putting it out there. But hopefully we will get some more information coming out about it soon.
Interesting stuff. There's always something to see in Las Vegas.
I
or
guess.
Maybe just outside.
I mean, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's
but
what they
this
say.
Kind of takes
but
it
that
to
was
a
already out of Vegas.
little bit. This definitely kind of broke that rule.
Yep.
We're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning. But when we come back, the Senate Judiciary Committee held a hearing focused on the youth vaping epidemic. After the break, we're going to delve into the next steps in an attempt to curb the trend.